Welcome to Parenting Through the Hard, a podcast for parents navigating the messy, unpredictable seasons of raising teens and supporting adult children. I'm Angie, your host and friend who knows exactly how heavy and lonely this road can be. My goal is to create a space where we can talk about what's real. Honest conversations about the challenges of parenting that are rooted in hope and anchored in love. Whether you're in crisis, unsure about the future, or just trying to make it through the day, there's space for you here. Together, we'll explore what it means to keep showing up, finding strength, staying grounded, and holding on to hope, one step at a time. Hey friend, welcome back to Parenting Through the Hard. Today's episode is sponsored by Liesl. Liesl is one of our generous donors and partners in this mission I have to try and create a healing space for parents of teens and young adults, a place where we can find connection, clarity, and strength even in the most challenging seasons. Thank you so much, Liesl, for your support. If you're interested in sponsoring a future episode, stay tuned and I'll share how you can get involved at the end of today's show. If you're like me, you're familiar with the storm. You know what I mean when I say storm, right? It's all that emotional noise that we deal with as parents. Our child's needs, their behaviors, the unknowns about their future, and let's not forget about the weight of our own expectations. Sometimes that storm looks like late night worrying when they don't come home on time. Anyone else watching that GPS tracker and fighting the urge to jump in your car, drive down in your pajamas no less, and knock on their window? No? Just me. Okay. Other times, it looks like the broken record of the same long arguments with our teenagers about school. Did you get that assignment in? Work? You better leave soon or you're going to be late. Or responsibilities. Don't forget to get your oil changed. And sometimes the storm feels like the ache of watching them pull away and the exhaustion in your bones fighting to hold on. It can feel like frustration and heartache watching them struggle but refusing your help, or the quiet despair of seeing them make the same mistakes over and over again. And if that weren't enough, there's our own internal narrative. That's that nagging voice inside of us that insists they should be farther along than they are by now. What did I do wrong? How do I fix this before it gets worse? All of this noise, it's so loud and it's exhausting. But you know what makes it all even harder? In the middle of that storm, we lose connection with ourselves, with our inner compass, with that calm, wise voice that helps us see clearer. That voice that I'm talking about, it's not just logic, it's your inner truth. It's that part of you that isn't swayed by panic or pressure. It remembers who you are. It remembers who they are. It remembers what actually matters. But in the chaos of parenting our teens and adult children, that voice gets drowned out and fear takes advantage of its golden opportunity to take over. One thing I'll say about fear is that it's a very powerful motivator. The only problem is, it's a terrible guide. See, fear says things like, what if this never gets better? What if he's drinking? What am I going to do if she goes back to him? I'm so tired. I can't do this again. I need to take control now before everything falls apart. Yeah, when fear is driving the ship, our parenting becomes reactive instead of intentional. We start parenting from the flesh, from that survival mode version of ourselves. And anyone around us can spot when it happens. You can hear it in our voices. You can see it in our choices. It shows up as controlling behaviors, like depending more on our tracking systems. Sometimes I feel like technology can be a little bit of a curse. It can show up as anger and frustration towards them, where we just can't be calm in certain situations. We just lash out. or say things we don't mean. It can show up as shutdowns, like the silent treatment or withdrawing love and affection because we just don't have it to give. It can show up as overcompensating, and that's like constant reminders. You're reaching out to others on their behalf, you're checking on them excessively, or completely checking out by withdrawing emotionally, by numbing ourselves with distractions, and sometimes even pulling way back and giving up boundaries entirely. That place when you're like, forget it, why bother? They aren't listening anyway. The one thing I'm learning about myself in this journey is that when the storm is loud, I tend to fix from a place of fear instead of love. So I've been trying to do some work lately on how I can return to love. Because at the core of everything, when all the chaos settles and we're left with what truly matters, it's love. That's the eternal truth. Not success, not their grades, not even their path. Just love. And I don't mean soft, sentimental, naive love. I mean steady, grounded, anchored love. The kind that says, even now, I choose to see you with compassion. Even now, I can be a calm place in your storm. Even now, in the midst of all these scary things that are happening, I trust that love between us will be the thing that has the final word. When I reconnect with that kind of love, everything shifts. I'm less reactive. I speak differently. I listen better. I stop needing to control and I start creating space for connection. But love can't guide me if I don't make space to hear it. One of the ways that I've found it's a little easier to return to that space of love is by remembering that nowhere in the manual on parenting that we never received does it say that I have to do it alone. We need safe people, soundboards, people who don't try to fix us, but just hold space with us. People who say, you're not crazy. I'm here with you. Let's talk through this together. When you have someone who reflects the truth back to you, you remember who you are. And when you remember who you are, you're more likely to parent from love instead of fear. This is why it matters who we surround ourselves with. And it's also why it's okay, necessary even, to reach out and say, hey, I feel like I'm losing it and I need to talk. Are you available to just go for a walk with me? Or are you available to just sit and hear me out? I don't need any advice. I just need some place that I can put this all down for a minute. And so today I want to leave you with a couple simple but powerful tools that I've been finding to be useful for me when the storm is loud. And there are two tools that you can start using this week. The first tool is create a quiet space and pray. I know you were hoping for something much more revolutionary, right? Much more action oriented. I think I might have even just sensed you roll your eyes. And I only know it to be true because whenever I feel the tiny whisper on my heart, I do the same darn thing. But please don't be so quick to discount this step. I know it feels like prayer is just not enough, but hear me out for a second, friend. I can tell you with complete honesty that when I take 10 minutes to breathe and to talk to God, I walk away from that 10 minutes feeling significantly better than I did before, 99.999% of the time. Prayer isn't something that has to be fancy. Set a 10-minute timer on your phone, no distractions, just you and God. You don't need eloquent words. Talking to God is like talking to a friend. Just be honest. Tell him what's heavy. Ask for peace. Ask for wisdom. Ask to see your child through his eyes. You want to know why this is so important? Because when fear gets loud, prayer is the thing that reconnects us to the truth. It reminds us we're not carrying this alone. it shifts our focus from what we can't control to the one who sees the whole story. Prayer isn't about quick fixes because there are no quick fixes. It's about recentering your soul, about realigning your heart with what's eternal and what matters. It's a reboot for our nervous system that helps us get back into a space of clarity, purpose, and intention. And it nurtures the soil of love we so desperately need in order to get this right. The second tool is to reach out to one safe person this week. One of the most powerful gifts that we can give ourselves in the middle of a hard season is connection. And not just any connection, the right kind of connection. Find someone who can remind you of what really matters. Not someone who piles on advice, not someone who makes you feel like you're failing, but someone whose presence brings you back to love, to truth, to hope. Someone who's willing to sit in that messy middle with you, not rushing you, not fixing you, just being there. And ask for that. Because the people in our lives have the same tendency we have to want to fix, to want to rescue, to want to get to the other side of whatever this grief is and to make you feel better. So it means we have to come to them with a certain level of vulnerability and truth and to prepare them for what we actually need by asking for those things. So this week, I'm encouraging you to take this brave step. Text someone, call someone, be honest, even if it feels uncomfortable. You don't have to explain everything perfectly. You can simply say, hey, I'm walking through something hard. Can we talk? Or even, girl, I don't even know what I need right now. I just know I can't carry this alone. Seriously, I'd like you to just push pause right now and send that text now. Chances are pretty good that you'll hear back from them before the end of the day. Even if it feels like you don't know exactly where to begin, just schedule the time. And remember that sometimes God speaks through people in our lives. Sometimes the encouragement you've been begging for shows up in a friend's voice. Sometimes the reminder of who you are and who He is comes through a simple conversation. Staying connected is one of the ways God holds us together when everything feels like it's falling apart. It's one of the ways He gently rebuilds our hope through relationships, through reminders, through the kindness of others standing beside us when our legs are too tired to stand on their own. You don't have to do this alone. You weren't meant to do this alone. God designed us for community because healing happens in the spaces between hearts that dare to show up for each other. My prayer for you this week is that your eyes would be open to the people who gently reflect your love back to you when you forget who you are. I pray that you would lean into those connections that God's placed in your life, and that you would receive His hope through the words of those people and their presence. Ecclesiastes 4:9 and 10 says, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their labor. If either one of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. This verse reminds me that I'm not meant to walk through hard seasons alone. God placed community around us. He wove all of these people into our lives. People that you know from school, from work, from church, neighbors, friends. He placed all these people around us, and He uses these people to bring hope and strength through their hands and their hearts. So if you're in the storm right now, I want to remind you, you're not failing. You're not too far gone. You're simply overwhelmed. And that makes sense. But the path is not about doing more. It's about returning to the truth. The truth that you are still the safe place your child needs, no matter how old they are. that you are still allowed to rest and recalibrate, and that love, not fear, is your guide. So take the quiet moment, make the call, and let love find its way back to your heart so it can have the final word. Now for the fun part. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions, thoughts, or even something that you're walking through that you want to hear more about, send me an email at parentingthroughthehard@gmail.com. It's easy to forget that our stories, even the hard ones, can be the very thing that helps someone else feel less alone. If you haven't yet, head over to parentingthroughthehard.com to explore more resources or to subscribe and receive encouragement in your inbox once or twice a month. Just simple, grace-filled reminders that you're not alone on this journey. It's an honor to walk with you on this road, friend. I'm so glad we're in this together as we learn to show up for ourselves, for our kids, even when they're grown, and for the quiet, courageous work of healing. Until next time, let's stay grounded in what matters. Keep taking small steps forward, and remember, we're allowed to stumble, to learn, and to give ourselves grace as we move through the hard parts of this journey. You're doing better than you think.